Hey guys, today we're going to be sharing our spark of the day a little differently today. Every Wednesday I like to share a word of encouragement, a scripture just to encourage you in the middle of the week to help you get throughout the week. But I just want to start sharing actual videos of just words in the Bible to actually help you to go throughout the week instead of just posting a scripture. So this week, as I was just sitting chat with the Lord, I just felt like the Lord was just sharing with me to share with you to just let God be God, right? So I know a lot of times as we're going through life and going through situations or whatever the case may be, us being just wanting to figure things out and be problem solvers. We're like, okay, God, this is what's going on, or this is what I'm believing for, whatever the case may be. And this is the only way that I can see this, being solved and figured out. It's like, this is the solution that I have. And this is the way that I see this is going to happen. But God is so creative and he doesn't have any limits, right? So as I was thinking of this, actual scripture or story came to mind when I was thinking about this whole concept and idea of just letting God be God. So if you look at Numbers chapter 11, let's see. All right. And it's going to be actually around the verses, the whole chapter, Numbers 11. Okay. So I'll just give you a brief overview. So pretty much in this part of the scripture, Moses, of course, he's led the Israelites out of Egypt. They're out of Egypt, and he's leading them through the wilderness. And they're at a point now where the children of Israel are pretty much complaining, right? They're coming before Moses, and they're like, hey, Moses, when we were in Egypt, we ate good. They're saying, we remember the fish, which we ate freely in Egypt. The cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic, and they're like, okay, this is what we had in Egypt, and now we're in this wilderness, and, we got manna, because God's providing them manna, right? He's supplying them, but it's not what they used to have, right? So they're complaining. They're like, I had this back here, and now I have this, and I'm not happy. And they're complaining to Moses because he's their leader. So then Moses turns, and he's like, all right, God, these people are complaining to me, I didn't birth them, I didn't pretty much, I didn't sign up for this, I need your help because this ain't working out. So God responds, and he pretty much tells Moses, gather to me, this is in verse 16 of Numbers chapter 11. So he says, gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people and officers over them. Bring them to the tabernacle of meeting, that they may stand there with you. Then I will come down and talk with you there. I will take of the Spirit that is upon you, and will put the same upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, that you may not bear it yourself alone. So pretty much in response to Moses, of course, turning to God, and he did say, I need help, So he's like, okay, God's like, I'm going to take pretty much your workload and share it. So he shares it with the 70 elders, of course, that he calls together. And then in response to the people's request for meat, God says, then in verse 18, he says, then you shall say to the people, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat. For you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore, the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall eat not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have despised the Lord who is among you and have wept before him, saying, why did we ever come up out of Egypt? So this is God's response to the people's complaining. They're weeping. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you meat. You want meat? I'm going to give you meat. So then in response to this, Moses is like, hold up, wait, you're saying you're going to provide all this meat. So Moses, trying to figure out how this is going to happen, he responds to God and he says, the people whom I am among are 600,000 men on foot. A lot of men. Yet you have said, I will give them meat that they may eat for a whole month. Shall flock and herds be slaughtered for them to provide enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to provide enough for them? And the Lord said to Moses, has the Lord's arm been shortened? Now you shall see whether what I say will happen to you or not. So pretty much God responds, look, my arm has not been shortened. There's no limit to God. So Moses, in a sense, is trying to put God in this box. Okay, you're saying you're going to provide meat. I have all these men. How are you going to do this? What? God. And it just goes back to the point that we said, just let God be God. So if we look further throughout this chapter, we can see that, in fact, God answers. God says he's going to provide me, and he provides the meat, but not in a way that Moses thought it would be done. So if we look at Numbers chapter 11, verse 31, it says, Now a wind went out from the Lord, and it brought quail from the sea, and left them fluttering near the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground. And the people stayed up all that day, all night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. And they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. But while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was aroused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague. So, of course, God was not pleased with their complaining. God was not pleased with their unbelief and their doubt, pretty much, because he was providing for them. And he said, he said that he would bring them out of Egypt, and they were still trying to go back pretty much to something that he had brought them out of, and he had better for them, better than what they had before. So this text, pretty much what I wanted to bring out, just going back to has God's arm been shortened, right? So let God be God. Don't put him in a box, right? So when Moses did hear about the Lord, saying he's going to provide meat for the men, and Moses looking at his men and like, okay, I got 600,000 men. Like, God, how this gonna happen? I don't know. And God brought it in a way that Moses didn't even consider. So I just wanted to encourage you to let God be God. Have a blessed week, guys.